So back in April of this year, I stumbled across this article from 2 News Oklahoma. And as you can see, it's not very long because at the time there weren't very many details available about what happened. It just says that Tulsa officers were chasing a 24-year-old jaywalking suspect named Camonte Hampton, and one of them didn't put their car in park and it ended up hitting an officer and Camonte. It goes on to say that both of them were treated with minor injuries, and that's pretty much it. But then there's a line about how 2 News acquired the arrest report for Camonte, and it didn't mention anything about him being struck by a vehicle. At the time, I thought, well, that's weird, but 2 News had already requested the body cam footage, so I thought, let's just wait and see how it goes. Well, they got the body camera footage, and let's just say that it's pretty revealing. So before we jump into that footage, let me tell you about what happened leading up to what you're about to see. At around 2:45 p.m. on April 15th, 2025, officers from the Tulsa Police Department in Tulsa, Oklahoma, allegedly spotted Camonte crossing the street without using a crosswalk somewhere around the intersection of South Garrett Road and 11th Street. According to the officers, they attempted to stop Camonte, but he fled to the Southern Comfort Hotel that is just off the intersection. The officers stuck around in the area for a while before they eventually spotted Camonte exiting the QT gas station that sits right at the corner of the intersection, and that's when they made their move. At this point, there were multiple officers looking for Camonte, and at least 2 patrol cruisers were immediately on the scene once he was spotted. One of the cruisers was driven by Officer Caleb Strobel, and that's whose body camera we're going to be taking a look at today. I wasn't able to find any official photos of Officer Strobel, but I did find this image and a really low-res video of an Officer Caleb Strobel from the Tulsa Police Department, but this was posted years ago on newson6.com. I can't say with absolute certainty that this is the exact same Officer Strobel from the video that you're about to watch, but it would be pretty insane odds for the police department to have 2 officers with the exact same name. And you don't get to see Officer Strobel's face in the body cam, so this is my best guess as to what he actually looks like. All right, so let's jump right into the body camera footage and then we'll come back and talk about it.
What was the description? Stop! Stop, police! Get on the ground right now. Get on the ground. Put your hands behind your back. Put your hands behind your back. Got the hand. Go over your stomach.
All right, so this is the part of the footage where Officer Strobel's patrol car comes rolling out of nowhere and smacks him out of the way, and then straight up runs over Camonte while he's laying there on the ground trying to surrender. Unfortunately, this part of the footage hasn't been released, but it's not like I could even show it to you on YouTube anyway. The body cam does pick up immediately after this happens, and it's what the officers do next that's really the most insane part of this encounter anyway. But let me walk you through what I think happened based on what we can see in the video first, so that you can have context to understand exactly how fucking stupid what these cops did actually is. If we take a look at this screenshot from the beginning of the video, you can see that Officer Strobel pulled into the gas station with the entrance on his left, which means that he entered the parking lot through this easement here. He then drives across the parking lot and we can see him make a left turn just before he stops to get out of his cruiser. At this point, I would put the vehicle somewhere around here in the parking lot facing north. You can see in the body cam footage that when he exits his patrol car, he does make an attempt to put the car in park, but he doesn't take a second look or anything before he just jumps out to start grabbing Camonte. And when the body cam cuts back in, you'll see that the front wheels of Officer Strobel's vehicle are turned slightly and the reverse lights are on. So what I think happened is that when Officer Strobel got out of his vehicle, he actually put his car in reverse instead of park. And because he had just made a left turn, the car reversed in a U shape and ended up in front of the gas station facing south and hitting Officer Strobel and fully running over Camonte in the process. Again, this is just my speculation based on what we can see in the video, and I'm sure we'll know exactly what happened at some point. We'll talk about the negligence aspect of this whole thing in a minute, but believe it or not, the negligence shown in this footage doesn't end with the officers accidentally running over Comanche with one of their patrol cars. And just a fair warning, there's no blood or gore or anything visually disturbing in the video you're about to watch, but it is definitely going to piss you off. So take your blood pressure medicine before you go any further, because you're going to need it.
Nobody's in it. Nobody's in it.
Do I need to move?
Hang on, Jones. Nobody's in the car. I'll go in the back of
Is he under it?
Yeah.
Do I need to move? Forward or... Do I need to move forward or backwards?
I've never seen that. Hey, behind your back. Hands behind your back.
Y'all just ran me over, bro.
So there's a little more body camera footage to watch, but I have to stop here and talk about how incredibly reckless and unnecessary what these officers just did was. In case it's still ambiguous to anyone watching this video, Comanche didn't get clipped or bumped. He got fully ran over by a police car. And what's the first thing that these officers do? Do they check for injuries? Do they call for immediate medical aid? Do they so much as pause and take a breath to assess the fact that a human being just got crushed under their vehicle? No, they grab him by the arms and drag him across the pavement and slap handcuffs on him as if he had just tried to rob a bank or something. So let that sink in. A man is laying on the ground, potentially suffering from broken ribs, spinal trauma, or internal bleeding, and these officers treat him like a flight risk, as if he's still some kind of threat to them. Not like a victim or even a person, just a problem that they need to get off the pavement and into custody before anyone starts asking questions. What kind of training or lack of training would tell you that this is the right thing to do in this scenario? And let's set aside the decency aspect of this for a second and just talk about basic medical protocol. You never move someone who might have sustained a traumatic injury unless there's an immediate risk to their life by leaving them where they are. They teach you that in any basic first aid class, and it's just common fucking sense. And yet here we are watching uniformed officers yank a man's body across the asphalt after running him over like this is just another Tuesday. And I'm pretty sure that that kind of conduct would be considered a violation of the Tulsa Police Department's use of force policy, especially considering that the very first sentence of that policy is, quote, "The Tulsa Police Department places the highest value on the preservation of life." I'd love to hear them explain how their mission to preserve life was embodied in their decision to drag a man they negligently injured across the pavement and handcuff him. In my opinion, this conduct is indefensible, and it's very troubling that even when the police accidentally cause serious injury to citizens, they are still being treated like criminals before they're considered victims.
Y'all just ran me over, bro.
Hey, tell them to slow down.
Y'all just ran me over, bro.
They
Officers been hit. Another officer got run over.
went 60 forward. No, it did. They went 60.
Y'all just ran me over, bro. Y'all just... Y'all just ran me over, bro.
That is the end of the body camera footage, but there are some updates to follow this story. Like I said before, Officer Strobel sustained some minor injuries and he was released at the scene, but the extent of Camonte's injuries are unknown at this time. Camonte was charged with misdemeanor improper walking and obstructing an officer, and he made his first court appearance earlier this week on June 12th. On that day, the Tulsa judge ordered that Camonte's case go to a jury trial, and that's basically where we're at right now. It's unclear if Camonte is going to be filing a lawsuit. Once this story broke and the body camera footage went viral, Captain Richard Molenberg from the Tulsa PD had some interesting things to say about how all this ended up happening. He basically tried to frame their aggressive enforcement of jaywalking as something that was being demanded by the communities in Tulsa. He told News 2, quote, "Is it a minor infraction? Yes, absolutely. But it comes on the demands of the community saying, hey, we have these major crimes out there, do something." And he went on to say that they had had hundreds of calls for that area in the months leading up to them chasing down Camonte, which is, of course, textbook deflection. How many of the calls that he's talking about here do you think were about jaywalkers? I mean, like, what is this captain even trying to say? Because what I'm hearing is, well, we wouldn't have even been here if the public didn't ask us to be here. As if the public wanted the cops to aggressively police jaywalking, and that's how we ended up with Camonte getting ran over. The captain also went on to blame Camonte for escalating the situation by fleeing, as if that has anything to do with the officers being so hyper-focused on arresting a jaywalker that they ended up accidentally running him over. It looks to me like the Tulsa Police Department is in full PR crisis mode right now and is basically grasping at any straw that they can wiggle their way out of liability as much as possible. They did say that Officer Strobel would be under review sometime this month, but we all know how that goes. Like I said before, I wasn't able to find any information about Camonte filing a lawsuit, but I'm sure that's coming in the near future. When I first saw this video, it reminded me a lot of the case of Yareni Rios, who, if you remember, was struck by a train after being handcuffed and placed in the back of a patrol car that was sitting on train tracks. We covered this interaction on ATA, and I'll leave a link to that episode in the description if you want to check it out. Although Yareni's case happened in Colorado, there's still a lot of overlap with what happened to Camonte in terms of negligence on the part of the officers. So negligence at its core is a legal claim that arises when someone fails to exercise reasonable care and it results in harm to someone else. Under Oklahoma law, establishing negligence generally requires showing that the defendant owed a duty to care, they breached that duty, and it directly caused harm to the plaintiff. This was a major part of Yareni's case, and I'm sure that it will become a big part of Camonte's case as well if he decides to file one. At minimum, Officer Strobel could be sued for ordinary negligence for failing to secure his vehicle and causing Camonte's injury, but his conduct could arguably rise to gross negligence or recklessness, considering that the cruiser not only struck another officer, but fully ran over the suspect on the ground. Camonte could also potentially argue that dragging him on the pavement and handcuffing him rather than treating him as an injured party would constitute battery and negligent infliction of emotional distress. The beauty of these state-level claims is that they sidestep many of the federal protections that are available to officers who are sued in federal court, and it allows a jury to evaluate whether these officers breached their duty of care in a way that caused foreseeable harm. Yareni ended up settling her case for $8.5 million, and two of the officers that were involved were charged with crimes, with one of those being convicted for reckless endangerment and third-degree assault. I'm not saying that's what will happen with Camonte, but the stage has already been set for how these types of incidents might play out in court. As of right now, there's still a lot to learn about this incident, and being able to bring you a developing story and follow up on it in the future is a big part of why I started this channel. So I'll be sure to keep you updated if there are any meaningful developments in the future. Until then, I just wanted to shed some light on Kamonti's case and offer my critiques about this whole situation and how it might play out in the future. I'm sure that we will have a clearer picture of this whole situation in the coming weeks, but that's all I got for you today, ladies and gentlemen. If you could hit that subscribe button, I would sincerely appreciate it. Thank you for your support. Oh, by the way, check it out. We finally got it. We got this in. Thank you for getting this. I really appreciate all of your support over the years. I'll be hanging this on that wall back there with the others, and I can't say thank you enough. All right, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers. Holy shit, has this been in the frame the whole time? I didn't even notice. Let me know if you noticed this before. My bad, guys.